With the sun low in the sky, the surface of the swimming pool shimmered like liquid glass, enveloping it in a warm, golden glow. With my eyes closed and the sound of the water softly caressing me, I found myself floating in the sun. The sound of approaching footsteps disturbed the stillness. My stepfather called out, "Hey, kiddo," in a light-hearted manner. I opened my eyes to see him standing on the side of the pool, his tanned body glowing in the sun, his cheeky smile on his face. I shook with delight as he flaunted his physique in skimpy swimwear. "Hello, Dad. Are you coming in?" Despite my beating heart, I answered, cocking my head back and trying to sound casual. His eyes glimmered playfully as he answered, "Maybe I will, but you have to catch me first." With that, he dove into the water, his splash making waves on the surface. My enthusiasm exploded as I swam closer to him and flipped off the float, causing me to giggle hysterically. The sun was warming my back, and the cool water felt good against my skin as I ran after him. He moved incredibly fast, effortlessly slicing through the water. "You think you can catch me?" he asked, flashing a sly smirk in return. "Just give it time," I yelled as I finally drew nearer to you, my movements motivated by passion. I suddenly lunged forward, grabbing hold of his arm and pulling him in. He turned to look at me, his voice deep and warm as he chuckled. "I got you," he stated. "All right, you win this time," he said, his voice softening as our faces drew nearer. The tension in the air had visibly and audibly changed. He was radiating warmth in my direction, and I could feel his focused gaze locking onto mine. "You're getting better," he said in a rather complimentary manner. "Greetings, Dad." As I replied, my heart was racing. "I've been practicing, not just from swimming." He took a step closer, and as the water lapped over our legs, I had a rush of intimacy. With a smooth, deep voice, he said, "You know, I always wanted to teach you how to swim better." My breath caught as I sensed our chemistry deepening. I suggested that maybe we practice together more often. He replied, "Yes, that would be great," dropping his sight to my lips and then raising it back to me. "You've made great progress." I felt something as I noticed a deeper quality, a yearning, in his gaze. I felt my pulse rate rise as I leaned in closer. "It seems like we haven't been spending enough time together." His eyes softened as he stroked his fingers over my skin, massaging a strand of damp hair behind my ear. "I feel the same way." Before I could even give myself a second thought, I leaned in a little and our lips met. It was a terrific kiss, despite its innocence. Our lips met again, and though it was tentative at first, the tension in the air pushed the kiss deeper. The heat from his body ignited a fire inside of me, and his hands found my waist and pulled me in closer. When we finally withdrew, breathing heavily, I peered into his eyes, expecting to see resistance, but all I saw was want mirrored back to me. What was that moment ago? Anxiety and excitement surged through me at the same time. He drew back a bit, but maintained his hands on my waist, his thumbs brushing against my skin as he said, "I really don't know." Still, I have to admit that it felt amazing. I nodded, my heart pounding. It did, indeed. Because there was clearly chemistry between us, I felt more confident. Maybe we shouldn't be against it. His gaze seemed divided for an instant, but then he moved in closer, his breath warming my cheek. "Are you really interested in this?" Above all, I murmured with a sudden boldness. His eyes brightened again, and he smiled, saying, "Let's not over." "All right, let's proceed." His lips found mine in a passionate kiss that ignited every nerve ending in my body, drawing us closer once again. His hands moved to my back, enticing me in, and the water flowed about us as we melted into one another. I wrapped my arms around his neck and gave him a deeper, more passionate kiss, completely lost in the moment. Every touch sent sparks flying, every caress kindling a longing I never knew existed. We kissed longer and harder, and I felt alive, my heart racing with the thrill of the forbidden. I interrupted the kiss and looked up at him, breathless. "What occurs if someone notices us?" "Let them," he muttered, his lips brushing mine as a fresh wave of need swept through me. "I'm tired of hiding my feelings for you." His words gave me a rush of enthusiasm, so I leaned in closer and gave him a more intense kiss. Each of us became lost in our own aspirations while the outside world disappeared. We were submerged in the water, our heat radiating from one another against the coolness of the pool as his fingers moved over my body, pulling me in closer. "Do you really mean that?" With my heart pounding, I asked in between kisses. He stated without a doubt, his voice brimming with emotion. This was something I had wanted for a long time. We started kissing more deeply, and I could feel the tension between us starting to build. Even though I could sense the effects of our choices at that moment, nothing else mattered. I pulled him in closer, my body perfectly integrating with his as we moved together, lost in a rush of emotions. I whispered, "Let's not stop," as the sun began to set and a cozy warmth enveloped us. He nodded and planted another kiss on us, a fire rising in his eyes as we both surrendered to the moment, the outside world disappearing. We were growing closer and closer, and I could see that something new and intriguing was being sparked by our desire, which we had to stop denying. It was only the beginning, and I couldn't wait to see what lay ahead with him by my side. Enthralled by the depth of our connection, the outside world faded away as our lips touched once more. Our desire became stronger with each kiss as we both entered this uncharted territory. I felt his heart thud beneath my fingertips as I stroked my hands over his strong shoulders and down his arms. The feeling was heating me up. It was like a fire that surged with each touch. The icy embrace of the water was a stark contrast to the increasing warmth between our bodies. I breathlessly suggested, my voice just above a whisper, "Let's move to the shallow end." I wished we were closer. We strolled to the edge of the pool together, the water warmer and the air heavy with expectation, and I nodded and met your dark, desire-filled eyes. He trailed behind, his body inching closer to mine as I stepped out onto the pool's edge, savoring the feel of the polished tile against my skin. "Is everything in order?" he asked in a low voice as he nestled against me and our shoulders came into contact. Even though I could sense uncertainty in his eyes, I had to admit that I needed it. My heart was racing as I replied, "It's more than okay. That's what I want." With a reluctant smile, he reached out to remove a strand of hair from my face and then leaned in again. Unlike the others, this kiss was softer, but yet boiling with intensity. I melted into him, and the way our lips moved matched the hammering in our hearts to create a beautiful rhythm. As the kiss deepened and his warmth grew stronger like a flame, his hands were on my waist, pulling me in. I reveled in the sensation, my body responding to his touch instinctively. I wrapped my arms around his neck and felt his strength encircling me. I felt bold and fearless to really embrace the occasion. Warm and inviting breath, he muttered, "You feel so good," against my lips. I could sense the hunger in his remarks. It was a reflection of my own wants. It's nearly a whisper, but I said, "You have no idea how long I've wanted this." Before I could stop them, the words began to flow. Yet in this case, there was just pure honesty. Before gripping them once more, he said, "Then let's not hold back." He teased to brush his lips across mine. The kiss ignited a heat that spread fast throughout me, overwhelming and thrilling at the same time. His hands moved naturally over my back, following the natural curves of my body, and I felt my heart race as I pressed myself against him. "Papa," I took a deep breath and gave myself a moment before I realized how serious this was. "Is this truly appropriate?" His fingers grazed my cheek, and he whispered, "Shoo! Just let it happen." I was excited and nervous at the same time, but I relinquished control and followed my instincts. I leaned in again, and our lips touched with a renewed desire. Every kiss seemed like a promise, a declaration of our unspoken feelings. I wrapped my fingers in his hair and became engrossed in the sensation as his hands sank down to encircle my waist. The world outside disappeared, leaving only the need between the two of us that sizzled like electricity. Ethan spoke between his lips, a passionate voice. "I never imagined my feelings for you would be this strong." With my heart racing, I leaned in to confess that I didn't either. Still, it seems quite natural. The air felt heavy with need as I pressed my body against his, feeling the heat radiating between us. There was an urgency to his movements that sent shivers down my spine. Our kisses grew hotter and more passionate, reflecting our developing love for one another. I took a short step back, my lips just above his, and looked into his eyes. "What should we do now?" I muttered, my heart pounding. His response was a calm, low voice that said, "We take this one step at a time." All at once, and just like that, everything seemed to disappear as we drew in closer and shared another kiss. Everything outside of our bubble seemed insignificant. as if we were living in it. With every kiss, I experienced waves of warmth and a hunger I never knew was possible. Time seemed to stop still as we were completely engrossed in each other. We gave ourselves over to the moment, and I pulled him in closer as I felt the warmth of his body on mine. Our chemistry was undeniable, and every kiss fanned the blaze that erupted between us. I felt him mutter, "Let's promise to keep this between us for now." His words gave me stability. My heart was pounding as I said, "I promise," feeling both excited and afraid at the same time. I couldn't resist the exhilaration of getting to know him better and finding this new connection, even though I knew that what we were doing was wrong. As the sun descended, illuminating the pool in a soft golden glow, we clasped hands and relished in the intimacy we had created. I felt safe and encircled by a sense of belonging in his embrace. I felt his lips lightly touch my forehead as he said, "I'm here for you, no matter what happens next." I felt warm within from the gesture's kindness. I said, feeling love fill my chest, "I know. I'm also available to you." That's when I realized we were embarking on a journey together, one that would be full of surprises as well as endless possibilities. I was excited and full of optimism for what was ahead with him by my side. A fantastic experience was lying just beneath the surface.